So the big question is this: how do veterinarians like you, who live demanding lives,
who never seem to have enough time, be able to achieve balance and take control of your finances with confidence?
That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers.
We are Florida Veterinary Advisors, and this is the Smarter Vet Podcast. Hey, Smarter Vet. Welcome back to the Smarter Vet Financial Podcast. This is your co-host, Tom Seco, and co-founder of Florida Veterinary Advisors. We are a national personal and business financial planning firm providing a different way of thinking to make financial decisions easy so you can spend time doing other things that you love. If this is your first time joining us, we're glad to have you. Welcome. We have dozens and dozens, even hundreds of episodes you can listen to on our show. You can go find all those through pretty much any major platform or through the one that you're listening to right now. And if you're wanting to nerd out and take your finances to the next level from here, we have a lot of great things like assessments, master classes, RACEs, link to our book, everything that you can think of through our website at flvetadvisors.com. I'm excited to talk with my guest today I think you all are going to love this conversation. I think it is a very hot subject as well because it's talked about, but then there aren't like a lot of solutions and opportunities to be able to address when it comes to working with people. And, you know, the gentleman that I'm going to be talking with today, he focuses primarily within the veterinary community, and he's spent a lot of his career working within veterinary medicine. So it's pretty cool to actually have someone who's almost been like born and raised within veterinary medicine to a degree. His name is Anthony LaPolla. He is the founder and CEO of Empower Business Strategies. He's rocking it, doing some great things across the industry. And Anthony, it's so awesome to have you here with me.
Tom, I appreciate the warm introduction and looking forward to our conversation today. To your point, there's so much going on and happening in the veterinary medicine space that in our clinics that we support, HR is a big topic. So looking forward to talking with you on it.
On the note of HR, because it is not I don't think it's something that everyone just wakes up in the morning one day and says, hey, I want to be an HR. Okay. And, you know, even in my world, not everyone's like, I want to go become a financial advisor.
Sure.
Where did your career start and how did you end up in where you are now?
Well, interesting story. I actually started in the funeral industry at a very young age and started working at a funeral home, a local family funeral home, and learning to deal with people during some of the most difficult times in their life really opened my eyes in the sense of how I wanted to work with people. I did not want to work with individuals in the funeral industry as a career, but I thought, what's the next best thing besides healthcare, human healthcare? And I fell into HR. And I think most HR professionals kind of fall into it. And I started as a recruiter and worked my way up through the HR ranks, as we call it in this space, from a recruiter through HR generalist, manager, director, and then a vice president for a company. So I worked my way up through, and I absolutely love what I do. I love the impact that we can have on people, love the impact that we can have on organizations that we work with, and I love every facet of human resources. And it's not very common that you hear an HR professional say they love every certain function of that total reward. So I absolutely love what we do, and especially the work that we do in the veterinary space.
And I know your past career from before, you were actually helping with the transition as well at one point or another with the owner wanting to sell their practice and now being able to exit and everything else. You had a stint in that too, right?
100% correct. So worked for larger corporations and consolidators in this space, started with organizations that had 2 animal hospitals. And when I left, had hundreds of animal hospitals, and working with really the selling owner on essentially helping their employees become part of a larger ecosystem. So yes, to your point, was there to help through integrations of hospitals and then making sure that they maintain compliance from an HR standpoint as well.
That's awesome. I'm sure you picked up and learned quite a lot of things too. When there's, I would imagine when there's a smaller group of people, there's still a lot of headaches that happen. But when you start adding multi-layers and multi-people and different roles in there, I'm sure it can easily start becoming a runaway train if you're not careful.
Absolutely. And when you start working in multiple states, and if you
Oh,
have multiple clinics in multiple states, and
yeah.
so ensuring that you're following, true compensation compliance in HR and employment law, it becomes a lot. It definitely
Well,
does.
well, on the note, like with people, there's a lot of challenges that a business owner has, and just even having a well-run business. And there's one guy that I know, I love watching all the time, Marcus Lemonis. He owns Camping World. He always talks about the first thing is people, next one thing is product, and then the other thing is a process. And there's all these challenges, and we all have our issues to a certain degree, and
Sure.
I'm sure there's certain challenges you commonly see. Which ones do you think pop up the most that owners deal with?
I think it's retention of employees, and so that's one of the biggest issues that we come across is, or at least owners coming to us and saying, Anthony and team, we don't understand why we can't keep people. We don't understand why we're having a hard time finding people. And it's not about just finding the individual that might be credentialed to work in your practice. It's actually making sure that you have the right structure in place when you're looking at benefits, compensation, your policies, your procedures, ensuring that you're following rules and regulations. And also, it's more than just buying a pizza on a Friday afternoon for culture. What are you
Mm-hmm,
doing
mm-hmm.
culturally in your practice? And it's really no fault of the medical director, owner, practice manager. They're so fully involved in their day to day in the clinic, they really don't have time to put aside to understand what's driving the retention, maybe some turnover issues within their clinics.
Hi, I'm Joe Kowalski, event director for the Wild West and New York Vet Shows, two conferences aiming to give you the education and information you need to be a successful practice owner. With two stellar programs to choose from and the ability to earn up to 36 CE credits at Wild West Vet or 16 credits at New York Vet, our team has you covered from clinical advances to the business necessities. Join us this October in either Reno, the 14th to the 17th, or in New York City, the 29th to 30th, and become a member of the Vet Show family. For listeners ready to make plans now, use the code NEXTSTEP, one word, at checkout and receive $50 off your conference pass at either show. Remember, that's one word, Next Step, for $50 off. Head over to us.vetshow.com to learn more.
When you talk about retention, because I find that subject to be very fascinating, because we do a lot of retention work with practices. Of course, when it comes to, you've got the people that they somewhat are replaceable. Like, it's kind of a plug and play. We just need them to come in here and, like, I need them to flip a burger, and I just need to
Sure.
keep flipping a burger. And then there are people that actually have, like, intellectual properties. They have certain characteristics that they help create a culture. And I
Right.
just hear time and time again where it's like, I don't have a problem with keeping people. And it's fascinating that, like, you bring that up as the first thing that comes up. So is this something that, like, sometimes people are just not aware of? Maybe there's like an illusion that they see here.
100%. And, I think you mentioned it, people are replaceable, or at least in the mindsets of some of the owners and practice managers. Oh, if somebody leaves, we'll just replace them. It's
Mm.
getting more and more difficult to do that. And it's because you're having the baby boomer generation exiting, and you're having a new grad generation coming in, and they think that, oh, this is going to be fun and this is going to be great, and I'm going to absolutely love working in veterinary medicine. And then they get into it and they're like, oh no, this is not what I thought it was going to be, and they exit. So as we're seeing, and you can talk to a one doctor practice all the way up to a 15 doctor practice, they all have very similar issues when it comes down to the retention portion in a clinic.
Mm.
But again, we always go back to, what does your overall process look like? Are they financially stable? Are they able to be able to talk to somebody like yourself, Tom, where they can help invest and plan for their future? Are they good on health and wellness benefits? Are they good on compensation? More and more of the hiring that's happening at our clinics, they are actually less about comp and more about the benefit side. And so
Gotcha.
clinics are not ready for that.
Mm. Yeah. Gosh, the comp and benefits, and I mean, I'm a big believer that, like, you have to pay people competitively. You don't have to pay them the most, but sometimes it's like compensation seems to be the big subject that's around there, when realistically compensation at times it's like, oh, I keep paying you more, but there tends to be like it's kind of like putting just putting a band-aid on something when, I got this wound on my skin and I'm putting a band-aid on it. But then there's like something internal that's actually happening, that it's like maybe there's something else that's going on that we need to address. And it seems like it's kind of like, let's just put a band-aid on it and that's the solution. So it's intriguing that you bring that up, because it's like, I've always viewed in the mind too, when it comes to being a business owner, your leadership has a big play in it, like your culture, the vision that you put in it. And when you think about what like kind of habits would you say that, a thriving practice that is constantly struggling and has staff issues, like what could they be doing in your experience to create a better environment to help improve that retention?
Well, I joked about the pizza because we often hear, oh, well, we have lunches on Fridays. It's more than
Well,
that.
everyone has to eat, right?
That is also true. Um, yeah, you're 100% correct. But it's so much more than that. It's about actually talking to your people and understanding what drives them and what motivates them. And then by doing so, what are you doing as the owner and or practice manager to ensure that you're listening to those individuals to help with career growth? If they want to learn something in surgery, if they want to learn something from the triage, if they want to learn customer service, teach them, allow them to try it out and experience it. And it's okay, because you're providing that guidance for them. And that's one of the biggest things that we hear. Again, you can offer the best benefits in the world. You can offer high compensation, you can be competitive, but at the end of the day, people want to feel respected. They want to know what their career path looks like, and they want to know that they're going to have some type of training and guidance in their day to day.
Is it something that you notice a lot, that there's a lack of training and guidance that people are receiving?
That is probably the number two thing we see the most. Number
Wow.
one is hospitals not in compliance. They think they are, and they're not. And so that's usually the biggest. The second is training and having the appropriate training. And there's this mindset amongst owners and practice managers that, well, I'm hiring you as a tech. You can come right on in, and you should just be able to start day one, not ask any
Right.
questions. No, correct. Each clinic is so different, and where they might have learned in one area and how they're learning now is completely separate. So having a strong training program, having a strong onboarding process when somebody starts makes the world a difference. It really does.
Well, when you think about that, having a strong training programming, a good onboarding process, I know consistent onboarding process too, I would imagine everyone needs to experience the same thing. When you get
Sure.
the objection of, I don't have the time, we're so busy, constantly don't, what do you suggest in that situation for them to address that?
Besides making time,
Yeah,
those are some of the areas that we help with from our side. But then there are hospitals that say, hey, I don't think we maybe need you right now, but is there anything that any type of thing that you can help us with, at least on the interim? And the first thing I always say is, make sure that, number one, you're in compliance. Again, that's the number one thing we hit on. Number two, set aside, even if it's 20 minutes a day, for training, or 20 minutes before a shift, or 20 minutes as soon as the shift starts, to talk to your staff, to provide the training and guidance that they need, and or address any questions. Tom, I am a huge proponent of daily meetings. Start just 5 minutes. Get everybody together. It's not, if you want it to be a rah-rah moment, great, but it's about just level setting for the day and getting everybody on the right page. And if there are any issues or any major situations that might come in from a patient, talk about that right out of the gate so everybody's on the same page. And sometimes it's great to have it at the end of the day too, but a lot of owners and again, the practice managers are just so focused on one thing or so focused on the operation of the business, they forget about the people side.
Right. And without people, the practice isn't going to run. I find it so interesting too when owners of a practice do not really take that seriously, and then of course they are giving them pizza for lunch, but there's
Right.
so much more. I know, like my executive coach always talks about it. It's like people are going to invest in the things that they get to either create and co-create, and when there's the opportunity for learning and growth, that they know that there's more that's there, then they tend to be more invested in it. But then when there's like a lack of direction, a lack of expectations, it's just like, and then you think you're doing it the right way, but then you're constantly being reprimanded for not doing it the right way. It's like, it makes you seem like everything good that seems to be happening is not good. And
That's
it's,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of brutal. I mean, I mean, I can reflect. I mean, even just being very candid here right now, I can reflect 5 years ago. I mean, I was guilty of doing the same thing. Like I'm doing the same thing to my team, and I'm like, that's horrible.
Right. I do think it's a natural, even as a business owner and having a team as well, it's a natural um, way to act, especially starting off in business. And you want to make sure everything is so perfect and so correct, and you don't want any mess ups. But you know what? I've learned that sometimes mistakes are learning moments,
Yes.
and it's actually okay because it helps your team grow and it helps you grow as a leader and an owner to allow for growth in your company, if that makes sense.
Yes. I would 100% agree on that, because when you do have other people and giving them the chance to make mistakes, and that way, they have a chance of figuring out, like, if there's point A and we're trying to get to point C, whatever B is, if you
Mhm.
do it one way and I do it another way,
Sure.
but there is some sort of process that we follow, but we get to the same result, and they're both they both work. It's like, what does it really matter? uh,
Right.
and then something might happen, and then providing that coaching, I think, is a big part of it too, because I know I've observed in my world where if someone does mess up or there are problems along the way, is providing feedback quickly and
Mhm.
providing an opportunity to coach them, to help them be part of, like, okay, what is happening here, and let me give you some guidance around this. And uh,
Right.
gosh, it's working with people can be tough, right?
100%. And to your point, correcting somebody on maybe something that they're not doing correctly immediately is so beneficial than letting it happen over and over again. And then
Mm-hmm.
6 months down the road, you say, "Oh, this person's not doing what we're supposed to be doing, and they're not a good fit." And my immediate question back is, "Well, tell me about the training that you've provided. What type of guidance have you provided? Have you provided feedback to the employee?" Well, no, not really. Well, let's start there and let's not have it continue. And maybe we can help coach and guide that individual just to do it the correct way.
Let's talk on HR systems for a moment here,
Sure.
because I'm sure there's specific things in your world to where that if you were to have these and things in play, they would be very productive and fruitful, and maybe help leadership would be more, the practice be more profitable, free up the leader's time a little bit more. Are there core systems that you typically look at when it comes to a practice?
We do. And so when we start talking with a practice, especially a practice that's been around or has existed for quite some time, there's two ways. Usually it's how are your people currently being paid? Oh, our accountant's handling it. Okay. How are you handling your employee documentation? Uh, what employee documentation? Or is it? It's all paper based, and we don't know if it's correct. Or they might be utilizing a payroll system, and I start there because if you have a payroll system like an ADP, a Paylocity, Paycor, Gusto, there's a ton out there. We really want to try to maximize those systems because overall, they're pretty good on a centralized location for HR processes. So if you're utilizing a system already for payroll, we're going to want to try to utilize that system for electronic onboarding and recruiting and
Hmm.
keeping all employee documents in one place. And so when we do our evaluations of the current situation or processes that are happening in clinics, we'll really try to point animal hospitals to having a one centralized location. Now, you might be a clinic, 5 to 7 employees, and that's it, and you're very small. We can work with that. We have internal systems within our company that we give to you, so you have one centralized location. And we'll try to make anything work when possible.
When working with someone like yourselves, is this something like a short period of time, and then it's like, okay, we're off on our own now? What does the initial to like the longer term perspective work when you engage
Sure.
with someone?
Absolutely. And we really go based on the needs of the clinic, and we listen to what the owner and or practice manager really needs. We operate in essentially 2 ways. We have membership plans where it's monthly and we're there for you. We fully integrate ourselves into organizations. Or we might have a clinic that say, you know what, Anthony, we really need you to help get us level set, give us that foundation, teach us, and then help train our practice manager. And let's try having our practice manager or owner handle some of this. And if we need you, we'll call you. And that's perfectly okay too, because we're providing that education, we're giving them that foundation that they need, and then we're here when they need us. And so it all depends on the level of comfort that the owner or practice manager may have and how we really can support.
Okay. And it could be a long-term type of arrangement.
Absolutely. We can and are your HR advisors. We are the ones that are handling day to day. And, there are times where we get questioned, well, my gosh, you're located in New York. How can you help Texas? We have systems in place where we're on demand and we're right there. And you have a dedicated person that can really help your clinic long term. So you're not getting some random person, you're getting the same one each and every time that knows your clinic, that understands. And Tom, quite honestly, we go as far as going out to a lot of our clinics just to physically meet these people and meet the clinics and meet the employees and say, hey, we're actually real people.
Very
And we're
nice.
here for you. Yeah.
For those that are not quite sure, they maybe feel over their head with the amount of stuff that's going on. They're looking for something that they could maybe do right now. And HR has been something they haven't really addressed in the past. Like, what is one thing that you could give as a takeaway from this?
Handbooks,
Handbooks.
employee handbooks. That is like the number one place anybody can start and should have, because that employee manual and handbook provides at least a guideline for your employees to follow. You want to make sure you have something to go by if a situation was to arise, or if someone needed a leave of absence, and what do you do in that situation? So I would say the one thing immediately and right out of the gate, we want to get you in compliance. It's that handbook that matters the most initially. And then we can start talking about different processes and procedures once that's built.
Gotcha. For all of you listening, if you want to get in touch with Anthony and his team, I would highly encourage you to at least have a conversation. It's always useful. We'll provide his information and all that within the show notes of this episode. So if you want to reach out, and at the same time, I don't know, is there any other thoughts you'd want to add to this conversation that you feel like someone would need to hear?
People first. That's my thoughts. And to your point, it's about treating people with the utmost respect and dignity in their line of work. Veterinary medicine is very tough. It's a tough industry to be in. And I think that if we put our people first, your clients are going to be happy, your patients are going to be much more happier, and you're going to have a really profitable and good cultured hospital. And that's at the end of the day, that's what we really strive for. People first. I cannot stress that enough.
People first. Anthony, it's been a pleasure having you here. Thank you for talking with me today.
Tom, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Smarter Vets, look, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I did myself. If you found this to be insightful, take it and listen to it again if you need to. Go back, grab some points from it. Even share it with a friend or 3 or some practice owners that you know, because they might find some use from this at the same time. If you've not had a chance to rate and review our show, please stop our episode either on Apple or Spotify. Go rate the show, because it really does help other people find and be able to enjoy the same great content that you had here today. This is Tom Seco, wishing you a lifetime of financial success.
Don't forget to visit our website and sign up for our newsletter. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know about upcoming race-approved CE webinars, podcast releases, short presentations, and articles that we publish. Make sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on LinkedIn, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.